It was the twist no one saw coming. Just when it seemed the legal walls were closing in around Blake Lively, she pulled off a courtroom maneuver that left even her harshest critics stunned. In a case that has transfixed both Hollywood insiders and the general public, Lively's team scored a crucial legal win that could dramatically shift the momentum in her favor, just days before she's scheduled to be deposed, in what many believed would be the most damaging moment of her career. The court ruling handed down late Thursday evening dismissed a significant portion of Justin Baldoni's discovery request, a move that effectively shields key elements of Blake's private communications from being exposed to the public, at least for now. And while this victory does not spell the end of her legal troubles, it undeniably marks a turning point, one that Blake and her legal team desperately needed. Let's rewind for a moment. This entire legal saga began months ago when Baldoni, actor, director, and producer, filed a high-profile defamation lawsuit against Lively. His claim that Blake used her Hollywood influence, elite media contacts, and a carefully crafted PR strategy to publicly damage his reputation. The core of the complaint hinges on a series of veiled but unmistakable statements Lively allegedly made in private texts, leaked voice notes, and press-adjacent whispers that portrayed Baldoni as dangerous, manipulative, and emotionally abusive. Though she never named him directly in public, the insinuations, combined with cryptic Instagram captions and a series of high-profile unfollowings, made the target all too clear. From the start, the case was a media magnet. Celebrities took sides. Fans waged war in comment sections. Legal analysts debated whether Baldoni's case had teeth or was merely a desperate retaliation. Blake's defenders framed her as a woman speaking her truth. Her critics accused her of orchestrating a covert smear campaign. But through all of it, one thing remained true: the moment Blake would be forced to testify under oath was always going to be the real climax. That moment is now rapidly approaching, and suddenly she's heading into it with the wind at her back. According to newly unsealed documents, Judge Patricia Delgado ruled in Blake's favor regarding a contested batch of discovery materials that Baldoni's legal team had argued were critical to proving a pattern of malice. The judge disagreed, stating in a sharp rebuke that Baldoni's attorneys failed to demonstrate that the materials, specifically several encrypted signal messages and private texts from an unnamed celebrity inner circle, met the burden of relevancy and admissibility. The plaintiff's request is overly broad, speculative, and not sufficiently tailored to the facts alleged in the complaint. The ruling reads: the court is not persuaded that the content sought would meaningfully advance the central claims. Translation: Blake Lively just bought herself time, privacy, and leverage. Within hours of the decision being announced, reactions flooded social media. Hashtag Blake wins and hashtag Baldoni breakdown began trending on X, formerly Twitter, with some fans celebrating the ruling as a win for personal privacy rights, while others called it a classic example of celebrity privilege in action. She's playing the game and winning, one legal commentator tweeted. Don't underestimate how much strategy went into this. Indeed, the legal strategy has been razor sharp. Blake's legal team, led by powerhouse entertainment litigator Brian Friedman, has adopted a cold, methodical approach: deny, delay, deflect. They've filed motion after motion aimed at limiting discovery, protecting reputation, and avoiding direct public confrontation. The most recent victory wasn't just about protecting private messages, it was a calculated step to keep the narrative in Blake's control. But this move also comes with enormous risk, because while the ruling buys Blake temporary reprieve, it also raises the stakes for the upcoming deposition. Baldoni's lawyers have already promised to aggressively question her about those very messages during her sworn testimony, and it gets even messier. Multiple Hollywood insiders have now confirmed that at least two other celebrities, both former close friends of Lively, have been subpoenaed and may be compelled to testify about private conversations and shared group chats that allegedly reference Baldoni by name. One of them is rumored to be a former co-star, the other an A-list pop star whose friendship with Lively has recently shown signs of strain. The mood in Hollywood is one of palpable tension. This isn't just a legal battle anymore, it's a war for narrative control. A war that has turned text messages into weapons, friendships into liabilities, and depositions into live grenades. Still, Lively's team remains publicly calm. In a brief statement released after the ruling, Friedman said, "We are pleased with the court's decision and remain confident that Ms. Lively will be vindicated. This case has always been about false narratives, and we will not allow a smear campaign to dictate the facts." False narratives. That phrase, now repeated across legal filings and press statements, has become the cornerstone of Lively's defense. Her side insists that she never directly defamed Baldoni, and that any inferences were the product of public imagination and media speculation, not malice or intent. but critics say otherwise. They point to a consistent pattern of suggestive behavior, cryptic Instagram posts, vague interviews, sudden unfollowings, all aligning with moments when Baldoni was making headlines. They argue that Lively didn't need to say his name for the damage to be done, and now the court is preparing to find out who's telling the truth. According to court scheduling orders, Blake's deposition is set for later this month. It will be recorded and, if the judge permits, potentially made public, a detail that has her camp on edge. Already both TMZ and Rolling Stone are said to be preparing exposes that will drop immediately following the deposition, suggesting that even if Blake scores legal wins, the public scrutiny is far from over. Still, this week's victory has changed the energy. Suddenly, Blake isn't just a cornered defendant, she's a strategic operator who has bought herself crucial time to prepare. And with that time, her team is undoubtedly crafting a plan for how she presents herself when the cameras roll and the tough questions come, because make no mistake, the hot seat is coming. And the questions won't be easy. They'll want to know, did she deliberately mislead the public? Were her cryptic posts calculated? Did she use back channels to spread negative information about Baldoni? Did she weaponize her popularity and connections to isolate him in the industry? And most dangerously, what did she say in private, off the record, in chats and calls and encrypted threads that contradicts what she'll say under oath? For now, those questions remain unanswered. But this week, in a courtroom battle that's becoming one of the most closely watched in Hollywood history, Blake Lively just scored her first real victory, and everyone's watching what comes next. The courtroom may have gone quiet after the judge's ruling, but behind the scenes, the reaction from Justin Baldoni's camp was anything but calm. What was supposed to be a decisive step forward, compelling Blake Lively to hand over encrypted messages that could allegedly expose her full involvement in a calculated smear campaign, had been derailed. And now, according to sources close to Baldoni's legal team, frustration is turning into fury. In the immediate aftermath of Judge Delgado's ruling, a visibly tense Baldoni was photographed leaving his attorney's office in Westwood. Though he declined to speak to reporters, insiders say he spent hours in closed-door meetings, reviewing deposition strategy, combing through newly admissible evidence, and recalibrating his next move. A source within his legal team described the mood as tense, determined, and ready for war. "This changes our timeline, not our objective," the source said. "She may have delayed exposure, but she's not going to avoid it." Baldoni's lawyers quickly issued their own statement, a direct and unmistakable challenge to Lively's momentary win. "While we disagree with the court's ruling regarding this limited portion of discovery, we remain confident in our case. We have already secured enough evidence to proceed, and we look forward to presenting it in full," the statement read. Ms. Lively will be required to answer questions under oath, and when she does, the truth will become unavoidable. It was a shot across the bow and a sign that things are about to escalate dramatically. Behind the scenes, Baldoni's team is reportedly preparing a new round of subpoenas targeting individuals within Blake's social and professional orbit. One of those subpoenas is rumored to involve a senior executive at a top streaming platform who was allegedly involved in off-the-record conversations about Baldoni's projects being quietly blacklisted after Lively's accusations began circulating. That allegation, if proven, could form the foundation of a claim for industry retaliation, escalating the lawsuit from a simple defamation case into a career-crippling scandal. And then there's the matter of third-party witnesses. According to leaked emails now confirmed by two separate sources, at least one Hollywood publicist and a former assistant of Lively's have agreed to speak with Baldoni's lawyers. The publicist is said to have kept detailed records of media contacts and private notes referencing coded narratives allegedly crafted to target Baldoni. The assistant, reportedly terminated last year, has told Confidence that she's sitting on a mountain of receipts. If even a fraction of these allegations are accurate, Blake's team may have won a procedural battle, but they could still lose the war. But that's not all. The public is now reacting in real time, and it's messy. Social media platforms have exploded with commentary on X threads dissecting the judge's language and the ruling have gone viral, while TikTok sleuths have begun piecing together a timeline of events matching cryptic posts from Blake with downturns in Baldoni's public profile. She posted that black and white mirror pic on the exact same day Justin lost his production deal with that indie studio. Coincidence? Doubt it. One viral TikTok video stated overlaying timestamps and screen grabs of both events. The video amassed over 2 million views in 24 hours. Meanwhile, Reddit threads have begun digging into the more controversial aspects of the case, particularly the suggestion that Lively used group chats and encrypted channels to coordinate negative messaging. Though unproven, these theories are gaining traction, fueled by both verified leaks and fan speculation. I used to think Blake was above this kind of drama, one Redditor wrote. Now I'm starting to think she's just better at hiding it. Even celebrities are weighing in, albeit cautiously. One anonymous source close to the situation said that a well-known actress, who previously worked with both Baldoni and Lively, has distanced herself from Blake in the last month and politely declined to attend a major industry event where both were expected. Another source claimed that a major endorsement deal Lively was rumored to have secured with a luxury brand has now been put on ice pending the outcome of her deposition. While none of this confirms guilt, it paints a damning picture. Lively's star may still be shining, but it's starting to flicker in certain corners of the industry. Yet if Lively's team is concerned, they aren't showing it. In fact, some insiders suggest that this public controversy is something Blake might actually be using to her advantage. She's not panicking, she's pivoting, one source familiar with her PR strategy revealed. She knows public opinion is fickle. All she has to do is maintain a sense of grace, stay quiet, let the legal team do the heavy lifting, and prepare for a post-deposition redemption arc. That redemption arc may already be in motion. Earlier this week, Blake was spotted at a charity gala in New York smiling, posing for photos, and speaking about women's empowerment. Though reporters were kept at bay, the event was widely covered with glossy headlines praising her poise and style. It felt orchestrated, like a soft reset of her public persona amid growing controversy. But for Baldoni, the timing couldn't have been worse. While Lively worked the red carpet, Baldoni's team was scrambling to prepare for a key hearing, scheduled into weeks, a hearing that could determine whether certain third-party testimonies are allowed to enter the case. That's where things could explode. According to confidential documents reviewed by legal analysts, Baldoni's team believes it has at least 2 witnesses who can directly contradict Blake's public narrative that she never intended to defame him. One of them, rumored to be a high-level network executive, reportedly received a phone call from someone very close to Blake just days before the infamous Vanity Fair article ran, the one that described Baldoni without naming him as controlling, image-obsessed, and emotionally unavailable. That article is a cornerstone of Baldoni's case. His attorneys argue it was a clear and direct hit job orchestrated through back channels, influenced by Lively's inner circle. If the court allows that witness to testify, it could tie Blake more directly to the defamation than ever before. So while she may have won the right to withhold certain private messages, Blake's larger legal exposure is still very real and very dangerous. Still, her defense remains consistent. She never named Baldoni, never made public accusations, and never instructed anyone to leak or spin stories. If damage occurred, it wasn't her doing. In legal terms, that's the absence of actual malice, a high standard to prove in defamation cases involving public figures. But Baldoni's lawyers believe they can meet that standard, and they're betting everything on the deposition. Once she's in that chair, there's no PR strategy that can save her. One member of Baldoni's team said bluntly, she'll have to answer on the record, under oath, and every contradiction, every slip-up, every evasive answer will be captured. It's the showdown both sides have been preparing for. And though Blake has just landed a powerful punch, Baldoni's corner is promising a brutal counterattack. In the meantime, Hollywood watches with bated breath. Agents, producers, and studios are increasingly wary of being pulled into the fray. It's becoming toxic, one executive said. No one wants to be collateral damage, yet despite the risk, people can't look away. The Lively Baldoni case has transcended its origins. It's become a cultural event, a parable about fame, privacy, gender, power, and the media, a modern-day cautionary tale in real time. And for all her current victories, Blake Lively knows the next chapter may be the most dangerous of all. If the courtroom is where facts are examined, then the media is where narratives are weaponized. And in the Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni legal war, both sides are deploying every tool available to win in the court of public opinion, even before the legal outcome is finalized. In recent weeks, legal analysts, crisis PR consultants, and celebrity brand managers have all started circling the case like vultures, each offering commentary that straddles the line between expert analysis and media spectacle. But one thing is now abundantly clear: this isn't just about a lawsuit. It's about legacy, reputation, and who walks away unscathed and who doesn't. Let's begin with the legal community. The reaction to Judge Delgado's ruling was sharply divided. While some hailed it as a proper enforcement of evidentiary standards and privacy boundaries, others saw it as a tactical stall that could ultimately deny the jury the full picture. Attorney Nora Millstone, a seasoned civil litigator who frequently appears on cable news panels, was quick to weigh in. The judge did not say the messages were irrelevant to the broader case. She said they weren't properly requested or framed under the existing discovery rules. That's a big distinction. If Baldoni's team refines their motion, they may get another shot. In other words, this victory for Lively may be temporary, and her opponents are already plotting their next legal move. Yet in the world of PR and optics, Blake is riding a high wave. Following the ruling, her publicist orchestrated a perfectly timed series of media-friendly moments. A smiling Blake attending an art exhibit, Blake walking hand-in-hand with Ryan Reynolds to a charity dinner, and an Instagram story that showed her baking with her kids, captioned with a quote from Maya Angelou. Each image worked to reinforce the narrative of a grounded, graceful woman trying to live her life. Amid unfair scrutiny, it worked, at least for a moment. Tabloids praised her elegance under pressure, fashion blogs gushed over her outfit choices. Even the Daily Mail, known for its brutal takedowns, ran a surprisingly sympathetic headline: Blake's quiet strength amid legal circus. But not everyone was buying it. A scathing editorial from Rolling Stone questioned the authenticity of Lively's public strategy, accusing her team of conflating curated femininity with victimhood. The article claimed that Blake was hiding behind aesthetics and nostalgia, using domesticity as a shield against legitimate questions about her conduct. She's painting herself as a mother first, a victim second, and a celebrity last, the piece argued. But what happens when the deposition asks her to step out of the curated frame and speak plainly? That question echoes loudly through Hollywood. In conversations behind closed doors, PR experts are divided on Blake's strategy. Some say she's doing exactly what she needs to do, staying above the fray, while her legal team handles the details. Others argue that the silence creates suspicion, especially as Baldoni's team continues to release indirect leaks framing her as manipulative, calculating, and possibly even deceptive. And then there's the problem of the deposition. If public image is Blake's current battlefield, the deposition will be her trial by fire. Legal insiders agree that depositions are where reputations either survive or shatter, especially in high-profile cases where the transcript will almost certainly be leaked. She's not just facing yes or no questions, said defense attorney Kyle Edwards. She'll face an exhaustive psychological inquisition. Her tone, her memory, her reactions, all of it will be analyzed and weaponized. And unlike courtroom testimony, depositions are long, grueling, and held behind closed doors until someone inevitably leaks them. What Blake says, how she says it, and what she omits could determine everything. Meanwhile, Baldoni's media strategy is more subdued but arguably more lethal. Rather than appearing in public, he's allowed allies and proxies to do the talking. Quiet interviews with former colleagues, subtle social media posts about transparency and masculinity. A recent interview with an actress he directed in a previous film, who spoke about the difference between private pain and public betrayal, went viral without ever naming Lively. It's a strategy that keeps Baldoni sympathetic without making him look vindictive. More importantly, it prepares the public for a redemption arc of his own. Sources say Baldoni is planning a sit-down interview, possibly with the New York Times or CBS, Sunday morning following the deposition, where he'll calmly and firmly set the record straight. The goal to reframe himself not as a victim but as a man who was unfairly maligned and chose the legal system, not gossip columns, as his path to justice. Still, many see this as a lose-lose scenario for both parties. As one entertainment journalist put it, even if Blake wins the case, the damage to her brand will linger. And if Baldoni wins, he'll be forever tied to this narrative, whether he wanted to be or not. That's the toxicity of celebrity litigation. No one walks away clean. And yet public appetite for this drama continues to grow. Podcasts, YouTube commentators, and TikTok creators have turned the case into serialized content. One particularly popular TikTok account has begun dramatizing the legal filings, acting out each side's arguments and juxtaposing them with footage of red carpet appearances. It's bizarre, it's compelling, and it's exactly how public opinion is being shaped in real time. Even more revealing are the social media polls. One conducted by Variety's official Instagram account asked followers who they believed, Blake or Justin. Over 2 million votes later, the results were nearly split: 49% for Blake, 51% for Baldoni. The battle lines have been drawn and the public is clearly torn. This brings us to a core question few are brave enough to ask: what happens if both are telling the truth in their own way? What if Blake believed she was protecting herself or others, and Justin genuinely believes he was targeted unfairly? What if this isn't a simple story of villain versus victim, but a tangled web of miscommunications, ego, betrayal, and media manipulation? It's not the kind of resolution that headlines are built for, but it might be the truth, unfortunately. The legal system isn't designed to weigh emotional nuance. It works in absolutes: defamation or not, malice or not, liability or not. And as the court prepares to hear Blake's side of the story, everything now hinges on what she says and how she says it. Because one wrong answer, one contradictory timeline, one confirmed leak, and the narrative collapses, and therein lies the danger. Blake's strategy has relied so heavily on silence and image control that when she finally speaks under oath, there may be nowhere to hide. Still, her supporters remain hopeful. They argue that Blake has been unfairly targeted by a media frenzy that's eager to take down strong women. They point to a pattern of holding women to a higher standard than men in public controversies. They believe her when she says she never meant to harm anyone, and they see the lawsuit as a form of retaliation. Her critics, however, argue that she knew exactly what she was doing, that her influence, whether spoken directly or implied through whispers and posts, is powerful enough to shape perception and consequences, and that even if she didn't mean to destroy Baldoni, the effect was the same. It's a debate that won't end in a courtroom, but it will shape careers, reputations, and maybe even industry standards. So where does this leave us right now? In limbo, Blake Lively is prepping for the most important testimony of her life. Justin Baldoni is circling the courtroom like a hawk. Their lawyers are refining every sentence, every tactic. PR teams are gaming out every media cycle. Hollywood is holding its breath, and the public, unable to look away, continues refreshing their feeds for the next leak, the next quote, the next twist, because everyone knows the real storm hasn't hit yet. It's coming. And when it does, the fallout could redefine the power dynamics of celebrity forever. The countdown has begun. In just a matter of days, Blake Lively will sit across from Justin Baldoni's legal team under oath and answer the questions that have haunted this case from the very beginning. It won't be a red carpet. There will be no flashing lights, no smiling fans, just a cold, neutral room, a court reporter with a transcript machine, and the weight of truth or lies hanging in the air. And make no mistake, the stakes could not be higher. Despite the temporary victory she scored by shielding some private messages from discovery, Blake's upcoming deposition is shaping up to be the definitive moment of this legal battle. For months, her team has been playing defense, pushing back deadlines, filing motions, running interference in the media. But now the strategy has narrowed to one focus: survive the deposition. Insiders close to her legal team say Blake has been in intensive preparation mode, undergoing mock questioning sessions with her attorneys. These simulations are designed to expose her blind spots, test her memory under pressure, and prepare her emotionally for the most aggressive and personal line of questioning she's ever faced in her career. She knows she can't afford to slip up. One source explained, "This isn't about getting through it, it's about staying unshakable." The topics are expected to range from the vague to the specific: her Instagram captions, her statements in interviews, who she spoke to, and when, how certain articles that harmed Baldoni's career came to exist, whether she gave permission or direction for certain narratives to be circulated, and the private stuff too, what she said in those signal chats that the court declined to admit, what she communicated to her friends in private, what she may have said to entertainment reporters off the record. One particularly troubling rumor suggests that Baldoni's legal team has obtained metadata from a PR firm's calendar that shows a scheduled strategy call between Blake's manager and the editor of a major entertainment blog on the same day. That blog ran a blind item widely believed to be about Baldoni. While Lively herself is not directly tied to that call, the optics are damning. The question in the deposition will be simple: did you know about this meeting? And how she answers could determine everything, because once she's under oath, there is no room for clever phrasing, no saving grace in silence. Every answer will be dissected. And if she contradicts herself even slightly, those contradictions could form the basis for a perjury charge, or at the very least weaken her credibility beyond repair. But the legal exposure is just one piece of the puzzle. The broader concern for Lively, her team, and her career is the public fallout. As one industry veteran put it, Hollywood doesn't care if you're found guilty, they care if your name becomes synonymous with scandal. That's the career killer, which is why Blake's team has gone into overdrive preparing for every possible scenario. Multiple media outlets are reporting that her PR firm has drafted several versions of a public statement that could be released after the deposition, ranging from defiant to apologetic. One version even reportedly includes a vague acknowledgement of unintended consequences paired with a plea for privacy and healing. It's a hedge of preparation for any potential damage control effort, depending on how the testimony plays out. Ryan Reynolds, her husband, has also been drawn into the chaos. While he has remained silent publicly, sources close to the situation say he's been intimately involved behind the scenes, advising strategy, offering emotional support, and consulting with lawyers about his own potential vulnerability. After all of Blake's messages or calls included Ryan even casually, he too could be dragged further into the legal spotlight. And then there's the wild card: the leaks. In the days leading up to the deposition, there's been a spike in anonymously sourced articles claiming to have exclusive insight into Blake's state of mind. One outlet ran a piece describing her as mentally exhausted and losing sleep. Another painted her as more focused than ever. Clearly, there's a tug-of-war underway, not just over the legal facts, but over the emotional narrative. Baldoni's team is well aware of this PR posturing, and they're preparing their own strategy. According to internal memos reviewed by reporters, Baldoni's attorneys have developed a multi-phase plan to leverage the deposition as a public turning point. If Lively shows signs of dishonesty or evasiveness, they plan to file a motion to compel further testimony publicly if she contradicts earlier statements made to the press or during legal filings. They'll raise the issue with the court publicly. If new names surface during the questioning, they'll consider additional subpoenas publicly. In short, they're ready to escalate. And they're doing so with a clear understanding that the deposition will likely leak. There's no containing it, one of Baldoni's legal consultants told a journalist. Someone will leak part of the transcript or an audio clip or even just a summarized version. It's inevitable. And when that happens, we want it to be clear who came to the table with clean hands and who didn't. That level of aggression underscores the intensity of the moment. The deposition isn't just another phase in the legal process, it's the event that could determine how the jury sees both Blake and Justin, if the case even makes it that far. Because here's the other truth: if Blake crumbles or if something damning emerges, this could settle quickly. Multiple legal analysts have suggested that Baldoni's real goal may be leverage, not necessarily a trial. If Blake's deposition gives him enough ammunition, his team could demand a massive settlement, a public apology, or even a retraction of past statements as a condition for dismissal. If not, the case proceeds and both reputations hang in the balance, but even that outcome would be risky. Because if the deposition reveals contradictions or new witnesses, Blake could face additional legal exposure, including civil suits from others, or expanded defamation claims. And if she holds strong, if she answers clearly, consistently, and with emotional authenticity, she might just turn the tide back in her favor for good. But either way, the next few days will be some of the most consequential in her life. As one industry reporter put it, this isn't just about Blake Lively, the actress. This is about Blake Lively, the brand, the icon, the empire. What happens in that room could redefine how she's seen forever. And the whole world will be watching. The courtroom battle between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni has already become one of the most watched legal dramas in recent Hollywood history. But as we enter the most pivotal stage, the case is no longer just about legal filings, discovery, rulings, or cryptic social media posts. It's now about character, credibility, and consequences. And the one sitting at the center of it all is Blake. Her recent courtroom victory, securing a protective order that blocked some private messages from being handed over to Baldoni's legal team, was undeniably a tactical win. It allowed her to draw a protective line around her private life, bought her time, and reasserted her position as someone in control of the narrative. But the legal system doesn't pause for comfort. Her win merely narrowed the battlefield. It didn't end the war. In fact, it may have intensified it. Because what comes next is not something her lawyers can entirely shield her from: the deposition. A grueling hours-long session under oath will force her to confront the very things she's been trying to keep at arm's length: accusations of malice, rumors of coordinated defamation, private conversations now caught in the crosshairs of litigation. It's the kind of moment that defines a celebrity's trajectory. If Blake navigates this with composure and clarity, she could emerge with renewed public sympathy, especially if she manages to frame her side of the story with sincerity and emotional weight. There's still a strong contingent of the public rooting for her, convinced she's been unfairly dragged into a controversy fueled by media frenzy and industry politics. But that support is conditional and fragile, because the public doesn't just want confidence, it wants transparency. And even one misstep, an evasive answer, a contradiction, a smug remark could unravel the goodwill she's spent years cultivating. What's more, Blake's public image has always been meticulously crafted. She's long been the archetype of elegance and wit, the effortlessly stylish actress who married her best friend, raised a beautiful family, and stayed far removed from the chaos that often consumes celebrity life. This case has threatened that image in a way few scandals ever have. For the first time, people are questioning the mechanics behind the image. Who is Blake Lively when the cameras stop? Who is she? When the lighting isn't curated and the narrative isn't in her control, those questions may be answered soon and not necessarily in the way she hopes. On the other side, Justin Baldoni has carefully positioned himself as the reluctant warrior. He hasn't gone on a media blitz, he hasn't tried to burn Blake down in public. But behind the scenes, he's shown every sign of being prepared, strategic, and relentless. He's not backing down, and if his legal team is to be believed, he's holding cards that haven't been played yet. That dynamic Blake's poise versus Justin's quiet fury is what makes this case so compelling. Because unlike other Hollywood feuds that play out with public mudslinging, this one has the eerie calm of a psychological chess match. Every move is calculated, every leak is strategic, every silence is deliberate, and now the queen is being forced to move. Blake's gamble in many ways has been to delay and deflect, to use her platform poise and privacy as a shield while her legal team does the heavy lifting. But the deposition strips that all away. It reduces everything to her words, her memory, her truth. It will reveal if there's substance behind the spin, if there's integrity behind the influence. It's also a moment of great vulnerability. Even if she speaks perfectly, she may be judged harshly. Even if she tells the truth, her motives may still be questioned. And if she slips, if her testimony cracks under pressure, the consequences won't just be legal, they'll be existential. Her entire brand could collapse. And yet she's walking in with more power than many realize. She has public support. She has legal momentum. She has the resources to weather a storm. What she doesn't have is a clear exit. Because even if she wins the case, the damage may already be done. In Hollywood, perception is reality. If enough people believe she acted maliciously, whether or not the law agrees, it could take years to restore her credibility. Endorsements could disappear. Roles could dry up. Relationships could fracture. And if she loses, it could get worse. Baldoni's team has already hinted that this case could open the door to additional litigation, reputational damages, and even industry-wide conversations about how powerful figures use the media to control narratives. If Blake is found to have played a role in that manipulation, intentional or not, her legacy may be permanently altered. So where does that leave her in a moment of reckoning? Blake Lively has always been one of Hollywood's most enigmatic stars. Beautiful, controlled, talented, but always at a distance. This case has pulled back the curtain in a way no one expected. And now, with the hot seat just days away, she stands on the edge of a moment that will either vindicate her or expose her. There is no middle ground, and perhaps that's the tragedy of celebrity itself. That the very platforms that elevate stars like Blake also magnify their falls. That the silence they once used to command mystique becomes suspicious. When the spotlight turns harsh, that truth becomes secondary to narrative, and narrative becomes destiny. But in this rare moment, Blake Lively still has a choice. She can own her story, or she can watch it be written for her.